You clicked for Caitlin Clark versus Sophie Cunningham. Yes, this is the breakdown. We're going frame by frame on the exact play that flipped the temperature, then straight into Clark's post-game message that drew a hard line about respect for her and the Fever. What did she see, what did she say, and why did it land like a warning across the league? Stay through the first minute. Once you see the contact, the reaction, and the context, you'll know exactly who crossed the line and why it matters for every future matchup. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. Costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. Everyone saw the foul, but the key is the 2 beats just before contact. Those 2 beats flipped Clark's reaction from a normal glare to a clear warning.
What do you think, again, in the second half allowed you all to create some distance there, and what can you build on going into that cup final?
I thought we were physical on defense. I think that's where we lacked in the first half. I think the first half we had moments where we're up 10, we're up 8, we're up 12.
JC Sheldon is guarding Caitlin Clark. She swipes her in the eyeball. Caitlin Clark nudges her off because JC stays in her face. And then Tina Charles runs over and is kind of wagging her finger in Caitlin Clark's face.
Well, that's about the game, too.
Yeah, well, I mean, you guys came for basketball.
Yeah,
Let's talk about basketball.
Yeah.
Come on now.
What do you think of just how you all were able to pull away in the second half, Caitlin, in particular?
We're going to the Commissioner Cup Championship.
Let's
That's
go!
pretty exciting.
Because the tone of the play changed before the whistle ever came. Score tight, clock under pressure, Fever using wide spacing with a slot cut and a weak side shooter parked in the corner. Clark had the off-ball assignment to flow into a dribble handoff. Cunningham shaded high as the stopper tasked with breaking rhythm. One trip earlier, there was a quick bump on a flare that didn't draw a call. That set the bar for physicality on the next action. Now slow it down. Off-ball jostle starts with a forearm check at the hip. Clark tries to hip seal and pivot into the lane line. Cunningham takes a half step across the chest, angling her lead foot into Clark's path. The second beat is the escalation. The hand rides from waist to ribs, then the contact comes through as Clark turns the corner. Mechanically, feet tell you intent. Cunningham plants outside foot to stop the drive line, shifts weight forward, and delivers through the torso. Clark's center moves backward. Head snaps slightly as the force travels up. The arm doesn't just touch and release.
The referees are going to review the play because that's a lot of contact going on right there. That's a lot of unnecessary contact. That's a lot of non-basketball contact happening during this play.
Coach, do you think it's something pertaining to your team, or do you think this is a league-wide issue?
Well, I've seen quite a few dust-ups in the league so far, so I think it's a league-wide issue. I mean, bad officiating is bad officiating.
And then Marina Mabry comes out of nowhere and chucks her to the floor.
There's a brief follow-through that carries into the shoulder. That's where the debate lives, hard play or targeted contact. On rules, freedom of movement is the test first. If the contact displaces the cutter or impedes without a play on the ball, officials can upgrade to unsportsmanlike when the motion isn't a basketball play. The whistle's timing matters because a late call rewards escalation and punishes the cutter's path. Angles change everything. Broadcast angle shows the displacement. Baseline reveals the foot plant and weight shift. Slow motion replay shows the hand sliding high and the follow-through near the neck. Watch reactions. Clark resets her stance, locks eyes, and points down court. A Fever vet steps between players, while the Mercury bench waves off heat and a teammate ushers Cunningham back. The tell is the extra step after contact. That's when the line got drawn, and the words after the game made it permanent. She didn't get louder. She got clearer. The line everyone missed was the warning built into her answer. The phrasing turned a standard presser clip into a message the whole league heard without her spelling it out.
They took these referees, they were at the monitor, they looked at it for, I'm not even exaggerating, you guys, like 15 minutes. 15 minutes they are watching this play over and over. They are seeing who pushed who. Marina Mabry, bat out of hell, chucks Caitlin Clark to the ground.
Can you specifically detail what you mean by get control of the game, just to be in your words?
Get control of the game is call the
foul.
fouls that are actually happening on the floor. Right, and consistently call the fouls that are actually happening on the floor.
After 15 minutes of deliberating, that's what you call 3 texts and a flagrant 1? That's it?
The room was tight, a couple cameras up front, beat writers to the left, and a local TV mic in the second row. The key question came fast from a Mercuryside reporter who asked about physical play and whether it crossed a line. Clark leaned in, elbows on the table, eyes steady, then sat back and slowed her words. No smile, no shrug. She kept the pace intentional, like every sentence had to land. She laid out respect, the boundary, and where protection fits. She paused before saying what the Fever stand for, then tagged the behavior that doesn't fit the game. The emphasis fell on the standard, not the shove, and she let the silence hang after it. That pause worked harder than a raised voice. Here's why it cut through. First layer, her space. She marked what contact she'll absorb and what she won't. Second layer, team identity. She tied it to how the Fever compete, not a personal grievance. Third layer, organizational standard.
Now let's watch this in slow motion. Here, JC Sheldon is guarding Caitlin, swipes her in the face. There's one. Going for the ball, swipes her in the eyeball.
You know, we kind of got over the hump there, and then we're able to grow our lead in the fourth quarter. They even cut it to 10 in the fourth quarter, and I thought we really responded well, and we're able to open it up for a pretty comfortable win.
This is what they called. Caitlin Clark, Marina Mabry, Tina Charles were assessed with technical fouls on Tuesday. Caitlin, Marina, and Tina Charles. Technical fouls. That's it. Technical fouls. That's it.
She positioned it as a club-wide expectation for how games will be called and played. That pivot from me to we shifts accountability to officials and opponents. Strategically, statements like this affect scouting notes and referee eyes. Opponents now know early hand checks might draw quicker whistles. The crew chief hears it in pregame chatter. The next game's first quarter gets tighter, and cutters earn lanes sooner. From the other side, Mercury voices framed it as tough defense. The coaching line stayed on effort, angles, and playoff-style contact, leaning into identity rather than intent. We've seen rookies set markers before and then watch the numbers swing. More early free throws, fewer off-ball grabs, and a different tone by the first timeout. So watch the data. Opening foul split, bonus timing, and how soon cutters get clean shoulders. Her last sentence wasn't heat, it was notice. And that notice shifts straight into the rematch stakes.
Of course, Marina Mabry is going to get ejected because that was unwarranted. She literally came out of nowhere and chucked Caitlin Clark. There should be a flagrant 1, of course, on JC Sheldon.
And then what did you make of Sophie Cunningham's flagrant foul on JC towards the end?
It was a flagrant foul.
Do you think it's like defending Caitlin or defending the team, or how do you view just how it all?
I view it as a flagrant foul.
And JC Sheldon was assessed with a flagrant 1 foul, and no players were ejected.
That play lit the fuse, but the press conference lit the fire. Clark turned a shove into a standard, and now every team that leans on her knows the bar moved. So who's right here, tough, playoff-style defense or a step past the line? Drop your take in the comments and call out the exact frame that decides it, because the details matter. Now watch the rematch. First 3 whistles will tell the story: early hand checks, cutter freedom, bench chatter. If the calls arrive fast, the message landed. If they swallow the whistle, expect more bumps. Either way, that opening stretch sets the whole night.